Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with another brand new Haolonggood release, and this is a release that I think many people were very excited about. I definitely know I was. We've got ourselves the Edmontosaurus, and you can see the front of the packaging looks really nice. You've got an image of both different paint variants of the Edmontosaurus, because as per usual, you usually get two. You can see quite a few different Haolonggood releases up here on the top of the packaging here. You can also see a Haolonggood logo, and then a Haolonggood logo on the other side, and then basically the same thing here on the back. Again, pretty much the same image we had on the front, and of course you're going to find the same thing on the other box. So let's pop these boxes open and check them out. And here are our Edmontosaurus. We've got one color variant, and then we've got another color variant. It probably would make more sense if I did it this way. So you can see we've got a greenish version as well as a very nice kind of yellowish brown version. And, you know, straight out of the box, there's two things I could say straight away. One, the Edmontosaurus are definitely a bit smaller than I was expecting, considering this is a fairly large species. But two, these things are incredible. You know, the sculpt as well as the paint, absolutely fantastic. Again, I think with the last few releases from Haolonggood, they somehow have become even better than they were before with the Chasmosaurus and now this. Again, insanely nice looking Edmontosaurus for sure. So as always, let's jump to a closer look and check them out from there. So we will begin with our yellowish brown version, which I guess you could maybe look at as being the female. You can see the head sculpt looks awesome. We've got a lot of really nice looking detail. On top of like some slight skin wrinkles and stuff, you have very nice looking scale detail. And something that Haolonggood has definitely been utilizing a lot is the dark wash, and I love the fact that they are, because you can see that dark wash absolutely makes that scale detail pop quite beautifully. We have lots of variation of color here in the face for the Edmontosaurus, as you have like some light tans. You've also got some very dark tones like some blacks or dark variations of browns. You've also got some pink there around the eye. You have a blue for the eye and a black pupil, as well as a really nice gloss coat on the eye. We can see some orangish tones up there in the crest. The crest also features some very nice detail that you can kind of see there as I turn the dinosaur. Let the light hit it. You can definitely see the fine detail, the texturing of the crest pop beautifully. We've got some very nicely sculpted nostrils up here. You can see more light variations of like browns, like yellowish or orangish browns up here in the nostril area. We also have some nice darker tones for the beak. You can see the detailing of the beak looks great as well, and there is even a light gray dry brushing over the beak to make the beak pop very nicely. You can see everything here on the face looks excellent as far as both the sculpt and paintwork. And that continues as we move back here into the rear part of the head. You can see the ears are sculpted out, also highlighted with a darker tone. You can also see that we get that larger scaling here in the neck area of the Edmontosaurus. And again, you can see how that dark wash definitely makes that detail pop very nicely. You can see the transition moving down from the yellowish browns is super smooth to the lighter tones of the throat. The throat itself is nicely sculpted. We've also got like some variations of oranges popping up here and there as you move through the course of the body. We also have some black spots as you move down. As you continue to move through, you can kind of make out the shoulder blade right there. You can also see that the skin texture gets much more fine as you move down into the body, especially in comparison to what you see there in the neck. Again, you've got very slight, very subtle variations of blacks and stuff that have been added, just adding a little extra variation of color to the figure, and just generally some nice depth to our paint job. You've got more of those yellowish, brown, and orangish tones moving down here into the front leg. As you can see moving along, the muscle definition is displayed, but it's not overly defined or anything, which I do quite like, especially because both of the front limbs here seem to be in movement. You know, they're both moving along, so I wouldn't expect too much tensing to occur here because both, you know, limbs are kind of moving along. It looks like pretty quickly, actually. But as you move down, again, you can see very slight variation of color, really nice looking. Again, skin texture very fine as you move down. We do end up with a darker tone as you move down into the limbs here, into the feet. You can see again we also have that one large hoof-like look for the nail there on the front foot. As you move back into the stomach, you can see we do lighten to a very light tone of color here, but again that dark wash definitely helps to show off how nice the skin texture looks and everything in that area. You've got some skin wrinkles right here because of course the rear leg is pushing into into the stomach, bunching that skin up. As we move up into the top of the dinosaur, you can see ridges picking up. Here they start in the neck and they increase in size as you move along the back of the dinosaur. We also have some darker tones that start to sort of stripe down moving along the back of the dinosaur. The paintwork on this just looks absolutely awesome. Probably one of my favorite paint jobs to come from Haolonggood so far. As you move back into the leg, you can see the leg is massive, especially when it comes to the thigh area. You can see really nice, very subtle variations of the skin detail here with like skin wrinkling and stretching and stuff, especially stretching off of the tail right there. Again, the paintwork is super smooth and natural as we have all the same type of variation of color we've seen through the course of the body, but we also have some dark striping moving through the thigh. You can see some muscle definition displayed in both the thigh and calf. We also have the knee right there, and as you move down into the rear foot sculpt, again, that looks really good. You've got some scoots moving down the toes. Again, a dark brown that also transitions to a really dark tone like a black down into the toes. You can see the nails are also painted really nicely. And then as we move back up, again, we lead out through the length of the tail. You can see the lighter tone primarily overtakes a large portion of the tail, with more of those yellowish and orangish browns kind of showing up sporadically moving out. And we also have this very nice striping effect as we lead out, as well as the ridges decreasing in size, again becoming very, very small as you lead out through the length of the tail, and we continue on with that striping. And you can still see again the really nice dark wash that has been applied, definitely amping up the detail here as you move through. Leading along the underside, you've got the cloaca present right there, and you can also see really nice, very slight, subtle variations of color as we move through. Again, Haolonggood is super good at adding variation of color, like really subtle variation of color on their figures, helping to give them, in my opinion, some of the best paint jobs in the dinosaur model industry, I would say. But as you lead over here to the opposing side of the head, again, you can see it looks really nice, just like it did on the first side. As you lead back, same thing going into the neck. Again, not too much difference on this side. You can see the dinosaur does have its head turned toward its left a bit, but it's not a massive difference in detail or anything. Obviously, the front leg is taking a step forward on this side compared to trailing on the opposing side. The rear leg over here is also trailing compared to leading on the opposing side, so that gives us a little bit of a better view of the stomach, since it's now kind of stretching the skin apart and opening up the stomach region for us to look at. You can see again moving through though that the skin texture continues to look really fine. When you get nice and close, you can see again just how insanely impressive not only that skin texture is, but that paintwork, again, how smooth and naturalistic it is. Moving back again, you can see some definite tensing, especially in the calf region for this leg as it moves through, as it's clearly picking its foot up off of the ground. You can see only one toe, the middle toe there, is touching as it leaves the ground. And then you again lead out into the tail, which looks just as nice as it did on the initial side. And you can also see again that we have a nice curve in the tail leading toward the dinosaur's right. So far and away one of, if not the single best Edmontosaurus figures that you will find on the market anywhere. And then we've also got the green version. Now this version is the same sculpt, just a different paint job. We have very different tones of color, but it does still sort of follow the same trend and style, which is something that Haolonggood often does. They kind of give you colorations that look pretty much the same on both sides. And you can see again that we've basically got some really nice purplish and pinkish tones here in the face. You've also got a lighter tone in the lower jaw. You've got darker tones moving up and over the top of the head and kind of circling around the eye. We even have some really nice bluish tones up there in the crest of our Edmontosaurus, as well as more of those purplish tones up there. Again, it does lighten up in the nostril area, but you can see the nostrils are highlighted very nicely with the dark tone. And you can even see like skin wrinkles around the nostrils right there. That's some super impressive detailing. Again, the beak looks really nice. Same paintwork pretty much as we had seen in the other one. Looks like maybe we even have a slight dry brushing like we saw on the other one. And then as we move back, rather than the yellowish browns, we now have greenish tones moving into the neck, but we also have the purplish tones following along the spinal column of the dinosaur. We again have a darker tone running along the ridges that sort of creates a striping effect moving down, leading off of those ridges. And then leading back into the stomach region, you can see more of those greens as they kind of stripe down and spot around in the stomach region. Even some very light greens, kind of more vibrant greens as you move into the lower part of the stomach of this version. Again, we've also got the darker greens moving down into the front leg before they disappear as we lead down into the lighter tone, but still having again more of those light greens down there, and then we transition to a dark tone down into the feet, just like we saw on the other Edmontosaurus. The nails are again painted with a black, and we have pretty much the same thing going on as we lead back into the thigh. You can see again that striping effect moving through, just like we saw in the other one. Again, the patterning is pretty close to the same that we had seen on the first one, just very different tones of color on this one. You can even see a little bit more of the purple showing up as you lead down toward the ankle. Again, the foot sculpt is a darker tone, just like we saw on the other one. And then you lead out, and yet again, that lighter tone of the underbelly starts to pretty much overtake the tail, but we continue to have that striping effect. I think in the other one, we had a little bit more of like, it was like the yellowish brown, whereas this time it would be green, but we have more of that kind of spotting in a few places. We don't see that really so much on this one, but we do have that super smooth striping as you lead out. You can even see a little bit of purplish tones again on the underside of the tail as you lead out there. But again, you run along the underside, you have the lighter tone, the dark wash highlighting all of it, including that cloaca, and again, even some slight variations of color, like you can even see underneath the thigh. Again, just ever so slight additions to the paintwork with like some slight hints of purplish or pinkish tones. And of course, the same thing you're going to see on the opposing side. Not really much of anything different, I think, that you'll see on this side, especially when it comes to the paintwork. But as you move through, you can see it is about as smooth and naturalistic of a paint job as it gets for a dinosaur model. Just as nice, I would say, as the first one. I don't think I could honestly pick a favorite from these two. Before, when I had just seen the promotional images, I was confident I would like the yellowish brown version more, but in person, I really don't think I could pick one over the other. As far as a size goes, for a length from the snout to the tail, I would say just a hair under 10.5 inches. It was definitely heading toward 10.5 inches, or around 26.5 centimeters. And the highest point would probably be the back, right around in this area. You're looking at a little over 3 inches, maybe heading toward 3.25, but not really all that close, or around the 8 centimeter mark. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Golovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being next to these Haolonggood Edmontosaurus, and you can definitely see that they are, decently sized. They're not huge like I would expect them to be for being an Edmontosaurus, but they are still quite nicely sized. I think we really only need one in here for comparisons. Currently, we've got the Haolonggood Ouranosaurus as well, next to the Edmontosaurus, helping to give you another idea of a size, as well as the Haolonggood Telatolophus next to our Edmontosaurus, again giving us another idea of a size. And then we also have the Safari LTD version of the Edmontosaurus, which you can see is quite a bit larger than our Haolonggood version. And now here is where the size comparison is massive when it comes to two different versions of Edmontosaurus. We have the PNSO version next to the Haolonggood version, and you can see the PNSO version is drastically larger than our Haolonggood version. I don't think we need too many more comparisons. I feel like we should have ironed out enough to give you an idea of a size, but just in case you did want other figures compared with it, let me know and I'll try to get some images up or something, at the very least on my Instagram, to give you those comparisons. So these brand new Haolonggood Edmontosaurus are both absolutely awesome. Again, even though they are a good bit smaller than I was expecting them to be, sculpt-wise, they are two of the absolute nicest looking Edmontosaurus I have ever seen. They sport the most impressive detail potentially on any Edmontosaurus I've seen, and I would say easily can match, maybe even defeat the PNSO version when it comes to fine detail. And again, it's all extremely crisp, extremely vibrant, and the dark wash on the figure does help to make the detail pop and help you appreciate it even more. On top of that, we've also got a really nice pose for the dinosaur, just a nice naturalistic walking pose. I could easily see, quite a few of these figures making it look like a large herd of Edmontosaurus, just moving through a valley or something. It could be really cool if you had quite a few of them. But again, the paintwork as well is fantastic. As always, I'm never unimpressed with a Haolonggood paint job. I think they deliver some of the best and nicest and most realistic looking paint jobs when it comes to any company out there producing dinosaur figures like this. A lot of the time, their paint jobs honestly look like they're painted by like a paleo artist rather than a factory. So the paint jobs, again, look great. Super smooth transitions. Everything looks nice and natural with the way it lays on the figure. Again, nothing looks like paint. It looks like legit body color, and the dark wash, of course, is always a great thing. I think it just amplifies the realism of the figure and definitely, of course, highlights the detail quite perfectly. So overall, even though they are a bit smaller than I was expecting, these are two of the nicest Edmontosaurus figures I have ever seen in my entire life, and two definite recommendations from me. So if you are interested, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase these from Lana Time Shop right now, because that is exactly where I got mine. So make sure you check that link, go grab these absolutely awesome Edmontosaurus, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.